Zone Faction.
Watch the podcast.
I don't want this to be hurtful. The SEC is still the best conference in the world.
All right. I'm going to go cry now. Thanks for tuning in. See y'all Tuesday.
We're going to talk a little football.
Let's get it, baby.
Welcome everybody back to the Red Zone Faction. This week we're going to be doing a draft analysis on this episode for the Lost Tribe of Alabama. I just want to say, this is just my opinion. It doesn't mean anything. I'm no fantasy expert. I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is just me talking. So if you get butthurt by things that I may have said, or, you know, things that I say about your draft picks or whatever, your draft, whatever, it's just my opinion. Who cares? So don't lose any sleep over it and don't get butthurt over it. You know, otherwise turn me off now before we even get going. Keep that in mind as I go through everything. We're going to start off with Allen. Allen had the number one pick. He obviously took David Johnson, which most people did. I think he went first in all three of my drafts. So he had a solid team. We're only going to focus on the top 10 here because the other ones are going to be on waivers before the day's over if they're not already. So anyway, Allen started off with David Johnson, running back. Followed it up with Jordan Howard, Jordy Nelson, Carlos Hyde, Cam Newton, Walker, Thomas, Tate, Perkins, and Stafford. That was Allen's top 10 guys. I think Allen quite possibly had the best draft of everybody in this league. I really like some of the value he got. If you look at Cam Newton in the 5th round, he's usually an Aaron Rodgers guy. But obviously, you know, he knew he wasn't going to make it there. Having the first overall pick kind of put Allen in a bind. I know he hated it, and that's one of the reasons why. I'm sure he would have rather had one of the back-end picks. But I think he did really well considering he had the first overall pick. David Johnson. Jordan Howard wasn't on any of my boards. I wasn't going to touch him this year. But I feel like the end of the second round is good value for him. And then getting Jordy Nelson there on that swing, too. Really good by Allen on those. Those three guys are going to give him some points. Allen's going to be in this thing all year long. 2 thumbs up from me on Allen. All right, Anthony had the number 2 pick, and Anthony selected Antonio Brown, 2nd overall. Followed it up with Matt Ryan, Leonard Fournette, LeGarrette Blount, Dez Bryant, Abdullah, Adams, Ertz, Rivers, and Bryant. One being Dez Bryant, the other being Martavius Bryant, wide receiver from Pittsburgh. I thought Anthony had a good draft. I don't think anybody's going to touch Allen. I do think Allen had the better draft of everybody. He kind of set the bar. But Anthony had a solid draft. He's got some question marks. We don't know Fournette. We don't know Blount. Blunt's going to be in a committee, but I also do think he's going to get the goal line work. So that'll help him with touchdowns. He's set at wide receiver. I think that's going to be Anthony's strong suit. But good draft by Anthony. 1 thumbs up from me. JD had a really good draft as well. I put him right there behind Allen. The thing about JD's draft is you better beat JD early because I'm telling you right now, if he gets enough wins in the early part of the season, he's going to be an absolute nightmare in the second half of the year. Just between he drafted Zeke in the 3rd round. Let's go over his team real quick. He took Bell, the 3rd overall pick. Behind that, A.J. Green, Ezekiel Elliott, Joe Mixon, Terrell Pryor, Jordan Reed, Ben Roethlisberger, Tyreek Hill, Dak Prescott, and Devontae Parker. I think that J.D. had one of the better drafts in this league. He got great value, especially in those later rounds. Not a big fan of Prescott, but 9th round is not bad for Prescott. So it's not like he reached for him by any means. But I do think that JD drafted really well. He's locked at all positions. I think all of his positions are solid. But you got to beat him early because I'm telling you right now, come week 7, Zeke comes back. I do think that by then Joe Mixon will be the starting running back in Cincinnati. And I really look forward to seeing what this team does, what your team does, JD, during this season. Because I think you're going to be somebody I'm going to have my eye on in the back end of this year. So I don't want to play him late. I haven't looked to see what the schedule is. I don't know who's playing who when. All I know is week 1. It's the only one I've paid attention to. So JD, looking out for you, bud. And congratulations on your great draft. All right, Travis is up next. We all know he took an amazing amount of running backs early. 7 rounds worth of running backs. First 7 rounds, all running back. It's almost like a sabotage. I felt like, and I'm not the only one that feels this way. You take that many running backs, you're kind of messing up everybody else, but you're also not doing yourself a good service either. Travis had, let's go over Travis's roster, and this is in order from 1 to 10. Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, Christian McCaffrey, Todd Montgomery, McFadden, Gore, West, and then he ended up with Deshaun Jackson, Brandon Marshall, and Cameron Brate, tight end from Tampa Bay. Here's the thing, okay? Those first 3 running backs that I named will carry him for so long. Gordon, Gurley, and McCaffrey are going to put up points. Montgomery, we don't really know. Jamal Adams, I think, is going to come in and eventually end up being the guy. Anyway, Travis's draft, I feel like he was trying so hard to go running back that I think he reached in those later ends, like from 4 to 7. I think he could have gone somewhere else. He started the draft with really, I thought, 3 good running backs with Gordon, Gurley, and McCaffrey. Montgomery, McFadden, Gore, and West, I think they were just reaches, and he could have got them later if he really wanted them. But at that point, I understand what he was doing. I got it. That's his strategy. Look, he won last year by taking running backs like crazy. And, he tried it again, and I think this time it may turn around and bite him in the butt. We'll see what happens. He finished it up with Jackson, Marshall, and Brate. He'll have a good mix of running backs in all year, but at the same time, I just feel like he may have hurt himself. But look, let me go ahead and say this before I finish Travis's deal. Travis is going to he's going to roll through this year. He's going to win the league. He's going to destroy everybody. He's gonna have his name on that trophy again. Putting that Auburn voodoo on him that y'all put out. Use reverse psychology. 2 thumbs up for Travis on his draft this year. Now we're moving on to mine. I had the 5th overall pick, and I'm not gonna go over mine a whole lot. Leave your comments or your thoughts down below about mine. I started off with the 5th overall pick. I drafted Jay Ajayi. Came back in the 2nd, got Odell Beckham. 3rd rounder, Isaiah Crowell, then Gronk, Doug Baldwin, Travis Kelce, Russell Wilson, Mariota, Gillislee, and Woodhead. Those are my top 10. I don't think my draft was bad. There were some question marks. If anybody's wondering why I went so heavy on tight end, I got the 2 best tight ends in the league. I did that knowing that Travis was going to take all the running backs. And I decided I was going to have to put strong players in the flex throughout the season to be able to stay up with him. So, and the fact that I knew there were going to be a lot of running backs on the roster, on the board. So I was going to have to man up other places. And that was kind of my goal going in. I was going to go high on tight end. If they were there, they were. I took them, and my plan kind of worked out. I'll find out at the end of the season whether it worked, but I feel good about it the day after the draft. I'm okay with my draft. I'm not giving it a grade. You write down below what you think about mine and how I did. Bert had the 6th overall pick. Bert started out the draft with LaShawn McCoy, next Drew Brees, then Miller, running back from Houston. Then he took Olsen, Hilton, Benjamin, Powell, Crabtree, Robinson, and Sanders. I think that Bert had an excellent draft. He got a lot. What I like most about Bert's draft is the value that he got. Getting Crabtree, Robinson, and Sanders in rounds 8, 9, and 10. I thought that was solid. I think Bert is strong at receiver, and he's got McCoy and Miller at running back. Bert's definitely a team to watch out for this year. I really look forward to seeing what his team does this year. He's got a really solid team, especially running back and wide receiver alone. And having Olsen as your tight end, I had him last year, and he did well for me. So, and that's with Cam having a bad year. So I really like Bert's team. I expect big things out of him, and I know he's going to make the playoffs this year. I can already tell you that. He missed it last year. He's pissed off. He talks about it every day at work. He doesn't miss playoffs much in fantasy football. And he drafted to make it this year, and I really see what he's done. Look forward to seeing what he does this year. 2 thumbs up for Bert's draft. Sam had a good draft. He had the 7th overall pick. He decided to take Marshawn Lynch, which I thought was a little weird. But after talking to him on the phone, I understand what he was doing because he took DeMarco Murray in the 2nd round. And after he explained it to me, I got it. He knew Lynch wasn't going to be there when it came back to him in the second round, so he took him first in hopes that Murray would make it back, and he did. So Sam's plan worked, and after that he took Brandon Cooks, wide receiver from New England, Keenan Allen, Doug Martin, Jonathan Stewart, Kirk Cousins, that's his boy, Larry Fitzgerald, Jacquizz Rodgers, and Jamison Crowder. Really good draft. He had some solid value there at the end. Fitzgerald in the 8th, Crowder in the 10th. Getting Cousins, that's his boy. He loves Cousins. He had him last year. Jonathan Stewart, I think, is his only question mark, but I think he'll get enough. It just really just all depends on what Carolina's going to do on their offense. We don't really know. But overall, solid draft by Sam. I liked what he did. I don't really know his tight end issue. It's kind of a question mark, but at the same time, a lot of people don't value tight ends. I think Sam falls in that category. I typically don't value tight ends. This year, I just had to have that game plan going in because I was building around Travis. So Travis had a lot to do with my draft, and that may hurt me in the end. We'll find out. So kudos to Sam for his draft. Mark had the 8th pick overall. He decided to go with Devontae Freeman in the first round, followed by Mike Evans, Delvin Cook, Michael Thomas, Hunt, Coleman, Hopkins, Jameis Winston, Jeremy Hill, and Jason Witten at tight end to finish out the top 10. Really another solid draft. Thumbs up to Mark. Really odd draft for Mark because he went running back, receiver. I don't ever recall him ever going that route. He's normally running back kind of guy. Mark kind of stepped. Maybe it was the fact that he was on Skype and not in the room. I don't know. But I do think that Mark had a hell of a draft. I really like his team. Jeremy Hill's the only one I question. But at the same time, I mean, it's one of those we'll see. He's not doing real well right now, and I think Mixon eventually takes over. But with the 9th overall pick, that's not bad. You can do that at that time. But his first 4 picks were really good. And it was good to see Mark step out of that realm and take a couple of receivers in the top 4 rounds, and he did. He got Mike Evans and Michael Thomas, and I thought that was 2 very good picks. Mark's going to be one to make the playoffs. Mark's going to be one he's going to be a factor in this league. I've got him week 1. I'm nervous. Thumbs up for Mark. Great draft. Look forward to seeing what you do this year. Hopefully it just doesn't start till week 2. Because I want to win in week 1. Doug's draft was head-scratching to me for a couple of reasons. One, he started the draft off with Tom Brady. Not a bad quarterback, just bad round. But he really wanted him, and I knew that, and he took him. Brady's my boy. I'm not going to fuss about this pick. I just think first round was a little steep for me with him, especially in a league where you only start one quarterback. So. But he followed it up with Amari Cooper, Alshon Jeffrey, T.J. Yeldon, Derek Carr, Thomas Rawls, Derrick Henry, Bennett, Hogan, and the Chiefs defense. Those finishes out his top 10. A lot of head scratchers here. He had a strategy. He stuck with it. I don't really know what the strategy was, but he's loaded. Those 2 top receivers, Cooper and Jeffrey, will keep him in games. And of course, Brady. As long as you got Brady starting, you're always going to be in games. The first question mark to me was the Yeldon. Yeldon's barely going to get any points. He's barely going to see the field for a 4th round pick. That was way too steep for me. And then he took Derek Carr in the 5th when he already had Brady. I feel like that was a wasted pick. But I also know he really thinks that he likes Derek Carr, and he didn't want anybody else to have him. And I think that's what it comes down to. Plus, if Brady goes down, he is on the cover of Madden. Doug's good. Then Thomas Rawls in the 6th round, another kind of question mark to me because you don't really know who the starting running back is going to be in Seattle, with Lacey and Procise also being there. I do believe that Rawls will eventually be the starting running back in Seattle, but I don't know if it's going to be that way week 1. So we'll see. Derrick Henry's another one. I thought that was great value, 7th round. Derrick Henry, he's waiting in line behind Murray, but I know once Henry comes in, it's over. That job will be his. They've drafted him to be the starting running back, and we know that. It's all a matter of time for Murray. And then Bennett, tight end. I think that was my favorite pick from Doug. 8th round. Bennett was good. Good pick. He's strong at tight end. That's great. Hogan in the 9th. You're the only one I know that drafted Hogan in any of my leagues, and you did it in 2. So, but hey, Brady spreads the ball around. Hogan's going to get points. I hope that works out for you. I'm on the other end with it. And then the Chiefs defense at the end. I mean, solid defense. 10th round. Chiefs have always got a good D. I don't really know where your draft stands with me, Doug. 'Cause you kind of had some question marks about some things. So we'll see what happens with you at the end. Flip undoubtedly had the worst draft of any draft I was in this year by far. It's not even close. He started out fantastic. He had the 10th overall pick, and with that 10th pick, he took Aaron Rodgers. Hey, great pick. Then on that same swing, on pick 11, you took Julio Jones. Great pick. Then things went downhill. The rest of his team consists of C.J. Anderson, Eddie Lacy, Mark Ingram, Adrian Peterson, which he took on a swing, though. Remember that. Edelman, which is out for the season. Jimmy Graham, Eric Decker, and Tyler Eifert. Now, I like the Eric Decker pick. Is probably my favorite pick from him because I think 9th round, Eric Decker, that's great. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns in Tennessee. Mariota's going to get him the ball. Decker will be a touchdown machine. I love that pick. The rest of your team is question marks. All the way from C.J. Anderson all the way down to Graham. I did not like Flip's draft. I think he's at the bottom of this list. He ranks number 10 on my ranks for drafts. Not that I'm doing that. I'm just throwing that out there. But, yeah, not a fan of Flip's draft. I don't know what his strategy was, but he's got some, as long as you got Rodgers and Julio, you're going to be involved in games. I just don't know if you're going to be able to score enough points for 13 games to get yourself into the playoffs. I just don't know if that's possible. That's going to be it for this week. Thank you for watching the Red Zone Faction Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Wilson. As always, remember, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. You guys that are in the Red Zone Faction, stay tuned. That video's coming up later. Have a good week.
Leave the comments down below if you like this video. Bye!